I would like to introduce to you General Treasurer Seth Magaziner.
Well, good morning, everybody. I want to start by thanking Lee Lewis and everyone from Junior Achievement, Christine Freck, and everyone from TFA. I know that Rick Metters and the team from Fidelity are here, Ashley, and Chris Graham, who is involved in just everything. So thank you all very much, and especially thank you to the whole Mount Pleasant crew for coming out to the State House today. As the governor mentioned, I started out my career as a teacher. I taught 3rd and 4th grade elementary school as a public school teacher, and I learned a lot from the experience. I'll give you just a few quick things. I learned the importance of having school buildings that are safe and that are in good shape, and that is part of what motivated me to work with the governor and the rest of our team here at the State House to pass a once-in-a-generation investment in repairing school buildings all across the state of Rhode Island. We spent a lot of time at Mount Pleasant. It's a wonderful school, but that building needs some work, and so there's definitely going to be some work done at Mount Pleasant in schools all over the state. Because at the end of the day, it's easier for students to learn and teachers to teach if you have a building that is in good condition, and that's what you deserve. That was something that I learned firsthand teaching elementary school in Louisiana, where I had a school building that was falling apart, and we had lead and asbestos and an air conditioner that never worked the right way, so it was always too hot or too cold in the classroom. You can't learn in that kind of environment, at least not as well as you're capable of. So that was certainly a lesson. I learned the importance of teaching not only the core subjects, you know, I taught mostly reading and English language arts, but also teaching things that are going to be useful as kind of key life skills, real world skills. And an example of that is financial education, personal finance. A big initiative of ours this year is to make sure that every high school in Rhode Island, including Mount Pleasant, has personal finance education, so that when you get out of high school, you are prepared to make these big real-world decisions around how do I fund higher education, how do I buy my first car, or my first home, or start a family, how do I avoid some of the pitfalls and the debt and the traps that too often people fall into financially. When I was in Louisiana and I was teaching, we had personal finance as part of our curriculum for my 4th graders. It was in the textbook. And so if in other states they're starting that financial education at the 4th grade level, certainly here in Rhode Island, at the very least, we can make sure that our high school students get access to personal finance education before you get out into the world. So that's something that we're pushing on this year that I think we're going to get done. And then the final lesson that I offer that I think is more of a big picture, real world lesson is never be afraid to ask questions and never be afraid to rely on other people who are more experienced and who know more than you do. When I was a first-year teacher, you know, like any first-time job, you get some training and you know the basics of how to do your job, but you don't really know anything, you know, to the extent that people who have been doing the job for 20, 30 years plus have done, and that would be true in any profession, teaching or anything else. And you'll notice in life that there are some people who want to pretend that they know everything. They're afraid to ask questions. They think that it'll make them look like they don't know what they're talking about or that they're not supposed to be there. And that's the biggest mistake you can make. Like, never be shy about asking questions, relying on people who've been doing the job. There was a teacher across the hall from me named Ms. Wells, Darnell Wells, who had been a teacher for 20 plus years. And she was my lifeline. She taught me everything I knew, because I was never afraid to go across the hall, ask for advice. And so I just say, whatever profession you go into, whatever job you have, don't pretend like you know everything right off the bat. You're not supposed to. No one expects you to. And you will be better the more that you stay inquisitive and you ask questions and you talk to other people who are doing the job. I'll just end by saying I think this is a great thing. I think this program, I think it's the 4th or 5th year that I've been part of welcoming a group from TFA and Junior Achievement to the State House. The Secretary said it right. I mean, this is the people's house. This is your house. This is where we all come together to make our state a better place. I fully expect that we will see you all up here many more times in the future, maybe as elected officials or at the very least as engaged citizens. Because at the end of the day, we believe in you. We know that you who are not only the future but the present of this state, and I want to thank everybody for making this day possible. Thank you very much.